RSU Public Television gets set to air two very strong documentaries, and the subject matter in both is important. Hello, I'm Sam Jones. Now, if you're from these parts, you already know what I'm talking about. This is actually for folks just passing through. A business trip or a stopover at a local hotel or motel, maybe a family visit. First of all, welcome to Oklahoma. Now, if you're going to spend the night, I do hope you wake up refreshed and rested. Traveling can take a lot out of you. Now, if you haven't turned on the television in your room, there is something you need to know about this area first. Now, regardless of what the TV folks will try to sell you, we don't live in fear. If you do choose to watch what passes for local television news, you'll soon discover that at first blush, it appears we live in the most dangerous, gun-toting, fast, text, drunk-driving, dysfunctional family, spooky lawmaker, unusual weather and earthquake state in the Union. Well, okay. Maybe some of our lawmakers do give the impression of being Halloween stars, and their decisions can sometimes border on both the absurd and the downright strange. And yes, we do have an above average tornado rate and earthquake rate, but except for the twisters and the earthquakes, the rest of the TV news is just like what you see when you get home. Now, wherever you're from, if it bleeds, it leads. Fear sells, you see. But you need to know that we do have a number of items in our world that deserve much more attention than they get by the news deciders. George Bush, forgive me. A large percentage of it has to do with children. Here, they're referred to as kids. I feel I must point out, parents of children are not goat farmers. Look it up. What does Mr. Webster, the dictionary guy, give as the definition of a kid? I rest my case. Now, there are items that deserve our ongoing TV news attention. Our children and our schools face a lack of support on the part of state lawmakers. In fact, Oklahoma is a leading state when it comes to cuts to education. So much of that right now, parents or teachers alike are just rolling their eyes when you try to get them to talk about it. And how about coverage of student achievers in the face of so much pressure and a lack of support? Hunger is also a problem here. Not a lot of coverage there, nor is there much dealing with uninsured health care, bad roads and bridges, ongoing tax cuts, prison overcrowding, and as the television pitchmen say, wait, there's more. All across this great country of ours, we have ignorance, intolerance, and indifference. And yet we continue to have outstanding teachers in the educational trenches known to spend their own money on supplies and in some cases food for poor and hungry students. Tireless mental health workers who never get a word of praise, cops and firefighters who lay it on the line 24/7 so the rest of us can get a good night's sleep. We got troops overseas where we need them, and we got veterans here at home now who need us. So look me in the eye and with a straight face tell me there aren't stories to be covered. The number of people watching commercial television continues to drop, so the TV folks are all fighting for a share of the ever-shrinking pie. Not just here in Tulsa, but all across the country. And chances are very good that what passes for TV news here is just like what you have where you live. So please don't judge us by what you see on the tube. We have everything here, from hard-working, creative people who give their all to world-class museums. We have inventors, innovators, and entrepreneurs. And like you, we have choices of what to watch, but it seems that all of the networks are now filled with the lowest common denominator. Now, I brought this up before, but since you aren't from these parts, it bears repeating. Back in 1958, Edward R. Murrow, a giant among reporters, gave a speech in which he took the television industry to task. Among other things, he said, "This instrument can teach, it can illuminate, yes, and it can even inspire. But it can do so only to the extent that humans are determined to use it to those ends. Otherwise, it's nothing but wires and lights in a box." He closed by saying there is a great and perhaps decisive battle to be fought against ignorance, intolerance, and indifference. This weapon of television could be useful. Well, you can see how it's used here. My question is, when you get home, will you sit in front of a weapon to be used to help mankind, or will you just be facing wires and lights in a box? That's my perspective. Welcome to Oklahoma. Up next, when you hear the title chaplain, you usually don't associate it with civilian life, but it may surprise you to know that chaplains can be found in just about all walks of life. We'll have more when we come back.